Was it a toxic relationship?
It was a lot, to be honest. It was just really toxic, and I don't think it was good for neither of us. It's important to oil
It's
your
important to
hair.
know that some white women know how to do black people hair. So
I think people know that already.
From the outside, it might seem like Coco Bliss and her baby's father, known online as I Have Memphis, are finally finding peace, maybe even healing. Their recent photos show smiling faces, their TikToks look like moments of bonding, but if you look closely, really look, you'll find that what's beneath all those filters and smiles is a story far messier, far more painful, and deeply toxic. And it's not just about them anymore, it's about their child. Coco has always been a presence online, vibrant, bold, expressive, and often magnetic in the way she carried herself. Her videos captured attention quickly, whether she was dancing, telling a story, or just talking to her followers. She gave off the image of a woman who was confident, in control, and completely aware of her influence. Memphis, too, was no stranger to online popularity. Known for his music and internet persona, he brought his own type of energy to the public eye, sometimes charming, sometimes chaotic. Together, they formed a couple that many followers watched closely, not just for entertainment, but for the drama that always seemed to be lurking just beneath the surface. But the truth of their relationship doesn't live in the comment section or within the curated clips they post. It lives in the in-between moments, the ones without ring lights or filters. Because when the cameras stop rolling and the attention fades, what's left is something far less glamorous. What's left is a relationship full of silent tension, arguments that don't make it to life, and red flags that get buried beneath jokes and apologies. It's a relationship that, behind closed doors, is marked by emotional manipulation, power imbalance, and a recurring undercurrent of racial tension that Coco seems to constantly navigate in silence. Even now, with a child in the picture, a child who should have been a catalyst for growth, reflection, or at the very least, a shift in priorities, the dysfunction hasn't disappeared. It is only evolved. Instead of bringing them closer, parenthood seems to have exposed deeper cracks in their connection. There is more at stake now, more being witnessed, and more that's left unspoken. The fights don't stop because a baby is sleeping in the next room. If anything, the stakes are higher, and the silence after each argument stretches longer. Instead of healing, things have only gotten more complicated, and Coco finds herself in the middle of it all, trying to balance motherhood, online presence, and a relationship that seems to constantly shift between affection and distraction. One of the most shocking and deeply unsettling things about Coco and Memphis' story is something Coco herself once shared publicly, a detail that rewrites the entire narrative of their relationship. She admitted that she first got with Memphis when she was only 16 years old. At the time, Memphis was around 24. That's not just a small age gap. That's not a quirky love story. That is a power imbalance between a teenage girl who was legally still a child and a grown man approaching his mid 20s. That admission changes everything because when you realize how their relationship started, you begin to see the patterns more clearly.
Coco made a video saying, not to brag, but I was 15 in 2016. And Memphis was around 23, 24 years old. Now, apparently Coco says that she met Memphis when she was 17, but still that would make him way older than her. Now, back in 2023, there was this one specific woman, I'll call her a woman, and her name is Lil Baby Shane. This is her, and I Heart Memphis used to have her in his videos all the time. Now, people were already questioning the age difference between I Heart Memphis and Coco, but when he started to collab with this girl, people really started to talk. Because apparently she was underage and she ran away from home. And she was collabing with I Heart Memphis. And they were getting very cozy on camera. And Coco has told us before that he does talk to girls that are way younger than him. But I mean, hey, there's such a happy family, right, guys?
This wasn't a typical young love story gone wrong. It was a connection built on an even ground from the very beginning. When an adult man chooses to pursue a girl who is still navigating high school, still developing emotionally and mentally, we're not just talking about poor judgment. We're talking about grooming. We're talking about a dynamic where one person holds far more emotional, mental, and legal power than the other. And that power imbalance did not disappear as Coco got older. It likely shaped everything that came after: the decisions she made, the way way she reacted to disrespect, the reasons she stayed even when it was clear she was hurting. Because when a relationship begins in a place where one person has all the control, it can be hard for the other person to even recognize what healthy love looks like. This isn't just about a messy relationship, it is about a predatory beginning that laid the foundation for years of emotional confusion, dependence, and pain. And it's something Coco has had to live with, even while still convincing herself and the world that it was love. But even with that beginning, one already tangled in imbalance and controversy, Coco stayed. She did not just stay during the quiet moments or the times when things seemed manageable. She stayed through the betrayals that cut deep. She stayed when he cheated on her, even when it wasn't just rumors but confirmed, messy, public acts of disloyalty that left her humiliated and heartbroken. She stayed when he dragged her through the mud online, when his words about her were sharp and dismissive, broadcasted not just to her face, but to the thousands of strangers watching their relationship like a reality show. When he disrespected her in comments and lives, she did not clap back. She did not walk away. She absorbed it quietly, as if this kind of treatment was part of what it meant to love him, as if enduring pain was proof of commitment. And she stayed even when the arguments became louder, more reckless, and more frequent, right in front of their daughter. Fights that started from small things quickly spiraled into shouting matches. Conversations that should have been private about money, about parenting, about boundaries, erupted on camera or behind thin walls their daughter could hear through. Sometimes the fights were about rest. Sometimes they were about absolutely nothing at all, just tension looking for a release. But no matter what set them off, the pattern was always the same: escalation, embarrassment, silence, repeat. And still, Coco remained. Not because she did not know better, but maybe because she did not believe she deserved better. Or maybe because walking away felt harder than holding on, even when holding on was slowly breaking her.
This man gonna act like he's so innocent and he's fucking not. Like, I literally caught him cheating and then I forgave him. And then now he wants to just always be around, fucking to always talk to bitches. It's annoying.
One time, they were just trying to enjoy a meal at a Mexican restaurant. They were live on TikTok, everything seemed calm, until Memphis decided to argue about whether corn was actually Mexican food. Yes, corn. Coco tried to calm him down, gently asking him to chill, especially since they were on live, but he kept going. He started ranting about how all food comes from Africa. Coco sat there, trying to hold her composure, eyes silently begging him to stop, but he couldn't. He did not. He kept going until the conversation turned into a racially uncomfortable rant. He even said that white people's kitchens only matter when black people are cooking in them, and Coco, who is white, just sat there, awkward, silent, struck.
Bitch, corn is not Mexican food. It's corn.
Let's not call or be aggressive, please, on my live. Thank you. Elote, my favorite Hispanic dish.
All food comes from Africa, so
You love this song?
come on now.
There's some
Remember,
black people
you
that
said
can't cook.
you
There's
want to
some
go
white
to
people
Memphis.
that.
I ain't say that though, but black
And
folks
guess
got
who's
number one
cooking
soul
it?
food.
Who was cooking it?
Black folks, right? Black people be in white folks' kitchen.
Nah, I can't lie. There was black people cooking, and it was the best fucking soul food I ever had in my life. In
Black
Memphis.
folks got the
What's that
black
restaurant
food.
called?
The cover, the board. It's in Memphis, Tennessee.
Well, if you're in Memphis and y'all ain't gone there yet, or you ever go to Memphis,
That wasn't an isolated moment. There is a repeated pattern, one that shows up not just in big dramatic fights, but in subtle jabs and everyday conversations that quickly shift into uncomfortable territory. Memphis has a tendency, almost a habit, of bringing rest into nearly every interaction, whether it's relevant or not. Sometimes he uses it as our shield, a way to justify his own behavior or deflect accountability. Other times it feels like a weapon, thrown suddenly and sharply in moments where no one was expecting it. And Coco, who is white, is often caught in the middle. She's not just navigating their personal relationship, she's also navigating the very real, very charged space between her identity and his resentment. She sits there trying to avoid triggering another argument, but it's impossible to ignore the tension that bubbles up when he makes those remarks, especially when they're live in front of an audience. What makes it even more complicated is the fact that they have a child together, a daughter, a little girl who is mixed race but who takes after Coco more strongly in appearance. She has light skin, and while that shouldn't matter, shouldn't change how she's loved or valued, it clearly does. Memphis has made comments about it. He's pointed it out, sometimes in subtle ways, other times not so subtly. It's as if the daughter's appearance triggers something unresolved in him, something bitter and resentful. So now, Coco isn't just worrying about their next fight, she's worrying about what her daughter hears, what she absorbs, what messages are being sent in the spaces between words. She knows deep down that one day her daughter will understand all of this. One day she'll be old enough to recognize that her dad said things about her skin, about her identity that left marks for far deeper than anyone realized in the moment. And that realization is terrifying because it means the harm isn't theoretical. It's already happening, quietly, steadily, under the surface. In another clip, while Coco was doing his hair, Memphis looked right at her and called her some white woman. Then he went on to say that some white women can do black hair.
First, I like to do like a little, pattern so I know I'm not missing no spots. It's important to oil
It's
your
important
hair.
to know that some white women know how to do black people hair. So
I think people know that already.
She know how to do my locks and make my locks look real good and
Yeah, I've
keep
been
it
retwisting them
moisturized.
for him and stuff.
Coco is a loctician, guys. Loctician.
Maybe that sounds like a compliment, but coming from someone who constantly expresses frustration with white people, it sounded more like mockery, more like contradiction. This is a man who constantly downplays white culture, but is in a relationship with a white woman. A man who resents whiteness but fathers a child with a white woman and then expresses disappointment that his daughter inherited that whiteness. Coco's daughter is still so young, so innocent, but she's being raised in an environment where rest isn't a subject of understanding, it is a subject of frustration, resentment, and bitterness. Her father makes it clear he wishes she did not look the way she does. Imagine growing up hearing that. The emotional bruises don't stop there. On one live, Memphis made a remark that still stings. He said he stayed with Coco even when she was 200 pounds. Like he did her a favor. Like being with her was an act of charity. That kind of comment isn't just disrespectful. It is cruel. And yet, Coco said nothing. Maybe she was used to it. Maybe she's numb. He then accused her of turning him into a villain online, even though it's his actions, his words, his lives, his cheating that have painted that picture. He told her, "Why do you keep going back to me if I'm such a villain?" It's a manipulative move. He knows exactly why she stays because trauma bonds don't break easily, because she thinks he'll manage or he'll change. Because somehow inside she still loves him, because maybe she thinks staying is easier than starting over. And Coco admits it, softly, quietly, as if even saying it out loud carries a weight she's still learning how to hold. She says there were times she tried to leave, moments where her heart and her mind were finally in agreement, when the exhaustion from all the fighting outweighed the fear of being alone. She packed her bags, she set boundaries, she made decisions, but he always came back. He would show up at her door, not with open accountability, not with changed behavior, but with just enough charm, just enough familiarity to make her hesitate. And that hesitation was all he ever needed, because with someone like Memphis, the apology doesn't have to be sincere. It just has to be timed right. Right when she's vulnerable, right when she's questioning herself, right when she's too tired to argue. And each time she let him in, not because he had done the work, not because he earned a second chance, but because trauma bonds don't dissolve overnight. Because when you When you've been conditioned to believe that chaos is normal, even peace can feel uncomfortable. Because when someone breaks you down enough times, your brain starts calling that distraction love. That is what abuse looks like when it's dressed in apology. It doesn't always show up with bruises. Sometimes it wears a soft voice, a familiar laugh, a promise to do better. Sometimes it walks in through a door a door you swore you'd keep closed because it knows exactly where you hide your forgiveness, and it knocks anyway. Their child is now witnessing all of it. The yelling, the eye rolls, the constant arguments streamed live for thousands to see. Coco has every reason to break this cycle. Not just for herself, but for her daughter. Her little girl deserves a home where peace isn't a surprise, where love isn't loud, where rest isn't a reason to fight. But instead of choosing peace, Coco keeps Memphis close, even though he brings pain. And maybe the saddest part, Memphis himself said, "Why do you keep going back to me when I've put you through the worst situations ever?" That is the question everyone's asking. Why does Coco keep going back? Is it fear? Is it love? Is it the hope that he'll finally change? We don't know. But what we do know is this: their daughter is growing up watching all of it, watching her mother be disrespected, watching her father resent her, watching dysfunction unfold in real time. This story isn't just about messy lives or toxic TikToks. It is about the real cost of staying in a relationship that chip away at your self-worth. It is about how unresolved trauma becomes the foundation for the next generation's pain. It is about a little girl who deserves better. Because one day she'll understand. She'll see the videos, she'll hear the stories, she will feel the energy, and she'll wonder why no one stopped it. She'll wonder why love looked like pain. And the internet, they'll keep watching, they'll keep speculating, but at the end of the day, this isn't content. This is a real child, a real home, a real woman stuck in a cycle that's costing her everything. And if Coco doesn't make a change soon, the damage won't just be hers to carry. It will become her daughter's too.